In this video, we're going to learn how to cube polynomials. So if you already know how to square polynomials, cubing polynomials is actually quite simple because it's just adding one more step to that process. So what you should know about the definition of cubed is that cubed means something times itself 3 times. So what we're going to start off doing here is we're going to rewrite this particular polynomial, and we're going to write it as 4x minus 3 times itself 3 times. So we can see that 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. Now from here, how to multiply those polynomials together is just like when we multiply multiple polynomials. You multiply them from left to right. So we're going to start by doing this one at a time by multiplying 4x minus 3 times 4x minus 3. So here we have 4x from the first parenthesis, and we're going to multiply it by everything in the second parenthesis, which is 4x minus 3. And then we're going to take the negative 3, and we're going to multiply it by everything in that second parenthesis as well. So if we distribute there and use big distribution, we end up with 16x squared minus 12x minus 12x plus 9. And then if we combine like terms, we end up with 16x squared minus 24x plus 9. So when I multiply those first two polynomials together, I end up with 16x squared minus 24x plus 9. So I'm going to rewrite this function now with those first two multiplied together. And then I still have one more 4x minus 3 to multiply that by. So we can see we performed the first multiplication, and now we're going to perform one more. We're going to take everything in this first parenthesis and multiply it by everything in the second parenthesis. So we're going to take 16x squared and multiply it by 4x minus 3. We're then going to take negative 24x and multiply it by 4x minus 3. And then we're going to take the 9 and multiply it by 4x minus 3. So notice everything in the first parenthesis times everything in the second. So if we distribute that, 16x squared times 4x becomes 64x cubed. 16x squared times a negative 3 becomes minus 48x squared. We then have negative 24x times 4x, which becomes a negative 96x squared, followed by negative 24x times negative 3, which is a positive 72x. Then we have 9 times 4x, which is 36x, and 9 times negative 3, which is negative 27. So we're almost ready to write our final answer here. We just need to combine our like terms and write it in standard form. So we end up with y equals, we'll start with the biggest exponent, which is a cubed. We only have one of those, so that becomes 64x cubed. We then move on to the squareds. We have negative 48 and a negative 96, so that becomes a negative 144x squared. We then have our x's here, so 72 plus 36 becomes a positive 108x, and then we finally end with the 27 on the end, so we have minus 27. So as I said, cubing is just like squaring. You just write things out 3 times instead of 2, and then from there you use what you know about multiplying multiple polynomials. You just multiply them one at a time from left to right.